Welcome back. Video 2 of 2. We'll start with light. So it looks like that overnight low, whatever, what is this, a 2 hour? After the close, it did something funky. Something like that. I don't understand. Anyway, it has support into 53. But what happens on the rally? Will they hit 57 like a ton of bricks? Because I think it will have resistance up there. So the question is, if they don't, not the question, the statement, if they don't get back above this, into this area, they're probably going to drift to 51 or 50, which would make a better entry point. This was a pretty phenomenal candle, and they're right inside of it. So if you want to draw a box around this area, you would get a visual as to where they're likely to be for the next couple of weeks. Lulu, not an easy entry up here. So I think there's a big battle around 365-ish. Oh, there we go. What is this? Let's zoom out. I have lines. Let's zoom out. Yeah, definitely not an entry. For me, I would consider it below 350. What? Yeah. Below 350. I would even short it and go long it if I wanted to. But they have a big playground, and if you split it in half, 355, 360 should have support. If they lose it, I think they get to 335. 340. I would be interested down there. Like this one I can bring up to here. This one I can bring up to here. Nope. It says oh dang it. Okay, so here's the thing. I would go long up here, add alert. Long with stops. So there's nothing to do with it up here for me. I would not want to be long, and I don't want to short it because it's not very liquid. The only way I would short it is by selling a naked call out in time, like December, because it's hard to fill the orders, and I don't want to be fighting with the fills and give up a lot of profits, like Booking.com. Last time I'd trade that one. Lift. Resistance at 10.7 and support at 9.5. If you lose 9.5, you get to 8.6. Mara, again, everything I said about coin applies here. There's no way on planet Earth I would go long that stock up here, especially that I'm long Bito. I would prefer to trade Bito over this one. Having said that, this will trade with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has a bid right now. So don't fight it, don't short it. It is just running with coins. So I did put lines, some came to fruition, and they averted this disaster because Bitcoin took the same rally. I know a lot of you guys traded it well in the live room, but we did better in Bito because we were in Bito before the actual headline broke out, before the actual trade unfolded in Mara. So if you're long Bito, don't be long this one, and vice versa. This one is even worse P&L than coin. Look at this. If you know how to read this and its balance sheet, then you should be investing in Mara. If you don't, admit to yourself that you're just blindly following whatever you're seeing on the screen. I am man enough to say, I don't know what the f is going on with this thing. If you can't say the same thing and you can't read this, then you shouldn't be investing in this. Right, Trader Joe, but we were already long Bito from before that came out. So if you're trading a bullseye alert, you can chase it as a trade. But there are some people that are trading this as an investment. The CEO or the founder, I don't even know if he's still a CEO, is super slick. So I think it's him. No, maybe I'm confusing two companies. Anyway, do your homework on the company, trade the price action. Mobileye, I wouldn't mind being long in this area. Admitting that I know if it rallies towards 40, it will find a lot of sellers, and it could drift even lower. But this is a target-ish. Between here and 33, there should be a bottom. So how are you long Mobileye? I remember I shared the Brave trade that gave us, I think, 40 to 60% of max gains. I think I sold a 1750 put for December, something like that. So that still works. I don't mind being long Mobileye again. If they lose 35.70, they could drop another $3. Maybe not, but it does have support here, here, and then here, and then here, and then here. So it does have a lot of support. It's a good candidate for selling a put spread or selling puts to own shares. A synthetic long, so be it. Meta, again, this one is rallying on an idea. If you listen, folks, this is called chasing. If you didn't go long here, if you didn't go long here, if you didn't go long here, and you didn't go long here, and now you suddenly feel the urge to go long here, I urge you to resist a little bit. I don't want to tell you what to do, but that's where the problem started, right there. So yeah, you may make $5, $10 out of it. This is what I say about it. TH. It's too high to chase and too hot to short. I would just ignore it. I shorted Nvidia because it was an open air and it has rallied 300-400%, and they gave me something to short. They gave me a parameter. They forecasted something magnificent. So I'm shorting that idea, and I will be out before they actually can deliver or not. So for me, there's no way on planet Earth I would go long that stock as an investment up here. As a trade, it's doable. You just have to be in the live room, so I can help you with that if you want. That's my take on it. Where's the fire? Why now do you feel the need to get long it? Okay, Magna International. This chart looks like it's falling back into support. If you can get it here, and if you can take 50-cent heat, okay, you can start. Otherwise, the closer to 51, the better. 51.3, 51.2. And then you might get a pop out of it. It's falling into support. That's a good thing. And resistance is above you, 54 and 54 and a half. Okay, MP. This whole area is support. One can argue that 2110, 2120 is support, and this was a freak moment. Is that earnings or something? No. Whatever happened here. You could say, I think the bottom is 21.1, not 20.4. And if it fails, you have better bottom below it. Now, if they lose this one, they will go into teens, but let's talk about it later, if it happens, when it happens. There are sellers lurking at 22.4 and 5 on the bounces. Medical properties, I'm not comfortable with the stock chart. I don't know the company. 13%? Oof, yeah, not for me. Anything that pays 13% that has this jagged of an income statement, what is this? How can answer me this? How can your net income be higher than your revenue? Magic, right? Yeah, that's magic. I don't want any of. I think I can stay away from this one. Technically, I can give you an opinion. 850, 840, 830 are supports. 9 is an exit. If you can get above 940, you can break out. Morgan Stanley, everything I said about all the other banks, it's right here. It's falling into the support zone. If you like the company, you can get long for a trade and stop out. If they lose 80, 50, forget about it. They're going into the mid-70s, if not lower. Microsoft, middle of the range. You have sellers above, look at it. Buyers below, I can give you two other values. 332 versus 340, 340, 341. 332 versus 341. Okay, if you lose 332 first, you're coming down to 326.25 versus grinding up. It will follow markets. I'm going to take some stuff before I forget it's there, and then it's there forever. Ooh, there are lines here. Okay, so let's do this then. Keep this big box on. What? I'm fine. Whatever. Oh, more arrows down here. Okay, so this is it. You have range one, and then bigger buyers and sellers. It will follow markets. If it breaks out of 342, I would be worried about being short. If it loses last week's low, it probably ends up in the low 320s, which would be a good entry point for short term. MSOS. What is this? I don't think I've ever seen this. Cannabis. What? Those are passe. Whatever this stock is, it's the middle of its range. If you go long, you're guessing. If you go short, it's guessing. You have support scattered to 535, and I think 580 or higher is an exit point. Netflix. Okay, so I said, look at this. This is playing out perfectly. The purple and the red are coming to fruition. Well, the purple came to fruition and triggered the red. Now they can eliminate that trigger by getting above that line. If they can get into that top end of this circle, this red doesn't have to unfold. The sellers are in charge. It's a descending channel. They're selling rallies. So this rally sold off and created a new low. This rally, will it sell off? That's a question. And will it create a new low? These are pretty strong bounces, these tails, and they have them here too. So it looks like they're trying their best. If you get to 429, I would breathe a lot better. Speaking of Nike, what the heck was that? What is that? That's the second stock I see one of these with. What was the other one? I can't remember. Enphase or something like that. Anyway, I don't know what that is, but it's giving you where support is. BX, yeah. What happened? Same day? No. BX seemed earlier. Maybe. Let me go see. No, same day. What is this? See, yeah. What is this? What happened that day? We had a flash crash or something? Weird. So if you lose 87.50, you're probably going to end up at 85.50, 85.60. Wait, I'm back to BX. I need to go to Nike. So Nike, if you lose, wow, same chart as BX. What? Okay, if you lose this 108.7, you will end up into 107, 106 and a half. I wanted to go long Nike, but I didn't have enough premiums, and I didn't want to go long through the earnings, which are coming up. So be careful. I don't want to be long or short Nike into the earnings. I will trade the exit out of the earnings. ServiceNow is starting to get intriguing. That white box on the left is our range. We have support below and resistance above. You might be able to sell an iron condor on this one. I haven't traded it recently, so I don't know. I don't remember. Let me rephrase it. I don't remember how liquid it is from an options perspective. Now, it looks like if it loses last week's lows, it's going to end up in this area. So if I do a credit spread or sell a put to own shares, I would want to hide below 520 if I can. And also want to make sure I don't grab, it looks like late July will be the earnings. So I want to avoid the earnings. I'm going to add it to my watch list to see if I can trade it sold puts and sold calls in a small account. I doubt it, but I'll check it out. Okay, who's this? NVIDIA. What did I do again? Okay, NVIDIA. I shorted it and made money for us. Some people opted to do the Iron Condor I shared, but I said I would do 2 to 1 to be more bearish than bullish. So the way I shorted it is I did an Iron Condor, but way bigger Iron Condor on the top end than the bottom end. I even sold naked calls that I closed. Okay. Now, if they don't get back about 426 or 7, I think they will drift down towards the low 400s. Okay, so that purple arrow I think will come unless they can break out of the red arrow up here, the red line. How about we make them both purple? so that I know that that's the battle right now. Purple and purple. Is it this one or that level first? Octa, it better hold last week's lows, otherwise it's going to trigger another leg lower. And it would kind of confirm that 72, 73 is going to be a roof for a bit. It does have secondary support, thank God for that. So even if it loses this, it might dip to here and bounce. Use that bounce to get out of longs. If you want to stay long here, that's fine. But if it gets to here and bounces, exit on that bounce. Okay? I think I shared a long in this one, but it played out, if I'm not mistaken. I did. What is it? Oh, yes, I do remember. At 55 in August. All right, so let's zoom back in. So 55 is a pretty far away from here, but it is in August. So if I have 50% of my gains there, I should make the position smaller. If I have 20 credit put spread, I should close some, and this would be one I would close to avoid drama if I want to, or at least lighten up all of them. Oxy. Talk about Chevron needing a bounce. Oxy needs a bounce. Look what's going on, folks. Oh my gosh, Nick was right. This arrow is coming on. And this is the target. This is my target. So I think Oxy needs a bounce ASAP, and the bounce will face sellers at 58.59. If you bought it with Buffett up here and you're still hanging on to it, you should revisit all of it. I don't want to tell you get out now, because you do have a lot of support, but revisit the way you invest and chase blindly at all-time highs. Always look left. And if you buy a stock where it has failed before, you're assuming stuff that is not there. You're just assuming and hoping for the best. All right, let me know if you need help with that one. Here's the thing. Bounce at 55.5 or be at 53.50. And the bounce that comes, I think, will be met by hard sellers into 58 and 58.5. Oh, it was pre-open. So somebody's giving me why those wicks are there. Thanks for doing the homework. It was Bostich was speaking, and PMI numbers came out. That just show you how dumb we are right now as a collective. They call it AI. AI. There's nothing I about that A. Okay. Pacific West, regional bank. So KRE represents one way to look at regional banks, and it's probably safer to do that than to go into one of these things. It does have support. I do like it from that perspective. If it loses 6.2, it might go to 4. I don't know the bank. You don't know the bank. It looks like a rally could draw head and shoulders. I don't know if it will or won't, but it looks like this to show you what a head and shoulders is, rather than draw my lines. Any rally here is going to be met with sellers. Let's say it goes to here and then it fails. Okay, that's a head and shoulders. Usually, the technicians say they will have this much downside. Okay, so I don't give it that much downside. I will give it the Nick version of it. Something like this, which will put you back into secondary. So if you're getting long here, don't do it too late. If you're getting long here, do it with stops. Path, it's looking good. I would get long if I'm not long already. Those were comments. I said if it doesn't recover 17.8, it will go to 15.8. It didn't recover 17.8 and it went to 15.8. So it's a target zone for me. Unfortunately, look at the earnings reaction. So it tells me the zone could extend to 14. So what do? I sell puts to own shares, and it's definitely on my to-do list. See? If I don't have similar stocks. So if I'm long path and I haven't gotten out, I'm not going to panic now. I wouldn't add, but I wouldn't panic. I would add down here. PD. Pager duty? What are we doing with this? Avoid, avoid, avoid. Okay. So it's approaching this low, but I don't know why it wouldn't lose this low either, because they just lost another ledge and target should be lower than this. So I would be very, very careful with this one. You should study the company. Technically, on a weekly basis, you say you have support. So if you're patient that way, fine. If you're building positions for the super long term because you know something, that's fine. If you're adding to current longs, I wouldn't. You have no reason to add right here because you don't know what's going on. The only thing I know what's going on is that they just lost a really good support zone and they're headed towards a really better support zone. Yeah, PU. That's right. AI all in. What is this? Pen. Uh-oh. So I am long pen, was I? I definitely went long before and I closed it. I don't know if I'm long again. I'm not sure. Make sure to put a stop because you're losing this one, which means rallies are going to be met with sellers. This is going to be resistance now. And if it does curl back down and lose this one, like Chevron, it will end up in the 20s. So if you're long pen with a credit put spread down there, that's fine. But be careful leaving it on too long, okay? It's a good business. I would rather sell a put and get assigned shares than have to defend the credit put spread. But just be careful. Like if you're long 2 or 3 other stocks that kind of move like pen, no need to add pen. Palantir. Okay, so you know me, I was long in the 7s and I got out early somewhere here. I don't remember. I more than doubled my money, so it was a big win. I left a lot of money on the table. It was a big miss, but who cares? And now it could rally back to 15. And if they don't break out of 15, they may curl back down and finish the purple line. And maybe you'll convince me to look at it at the purple line. Okay. So I'm patiently waiting for a bigger dip and want to see the outcome of the rally. Good stock for the long term. When everybody hates it, and they will hate it, you pounce. Yeah, not for me up here. If they lose, support is 17.8. If they lose it, they might end up at 17 or 16.5. There's weakness everywhere. It has had rallies like this before, and they all price back down. Not for me. Definitely not for me. Good trading stock if you're actively trading. PXD. Pioneer. Uh-oh. Okay, so this is starting to look like Chevron also. Losing support, meaning rallies will be sold and it will make lower lows. So this could drift to 190 or 188 where better support starts. So they need to get back into that white box pronto. If they don't, I think they'll bleed right back down. PayPal, I closed my longs. I'm looking to re-engage. I sold puts. I sold put spreads. I shared those with you. If you were with me in the live room that one day, I went long calls, naked calls. I closed my calls a day before it peaked. So I closed here, it peaked, and then it came back down. So I didn't time them perfectly, but I did really, really well. So what I'm going to do next is buy some more calls, maybe, or get long again because my credit put spreads and my sold put are at maximum gain. So I would sell puts on dips. I don't know if I want to own calls. This stock is weird. It's acting weird. I wouldn't redo that so aggressively unless I see an aggressive drop. Okay. Maybe one day somebody will hate it, but I sure hope they hold 65. If they hold 65 or 64, that means they put this area behind them. If they hold here and come back up. If they take out 69.5, they may end up at 74. May take a while though. Riot. Okay. Mara, Riot, Coin. These are Bitcoin trades. So I wouldn't touch Riot, even if you paid me. Even if you lent me money to trade Riot, I wouldn't do it. You know that this is a This used to be some sort of a biomedical company, and the CEO, who was hilarious, saw an opportunity during the Bitcoin craze, and he changed the name to Blockchain Riot or Riot Blockchain, and the stock took off. He says, "Okay, I better build a business around blockchain." So I don't know what they do. Do homework, man. Do homework. I'm getting the same price action by investing in an ETF. I would much rather do that, which is Bito, and I get paid. This one pays no dividends. Bito pays, I don't know, 50% dividends. Whatever it is, look it up. It's a fluid number. If the ETF makes money, they pay it out. If not, they don't pay it out. Rivian, not for me. I would not touch Rivian for myself. At one point I said I would, but I told you my concern last week. It's actually started a couple months ago. I think they have a bad relationship with Amazon right now. And you don't want to have a bad relationship with Amazon ever, especially when it owns 25% of you. Yep. So I think Rivian rallies into 1480 unless there's a headline. They're going to be met with sellers. So it could be back down in the 12s and 11s. At least they do have production. I do see a lot of cars on the street, unlike Lucid. So don't be long Lucid and Rivian. Choose one. If it's an EV you want to invest in, choose one that actually makes money. Let me think. Oh, there's only one that actually makes money from selling EVs. Which one is it? Tesla. Schwab. I had an alert last week that came up on Schwab. I don't know if I like it. So if they lose last week's low, they might end up at 51, and I have an alert there. So I would be comfortable selling puts in Schwab if it falls into 51. Nothing more, nothing less. It is probably going there. That would be. I think we will get to 51 before 55. So let me put it here. I'll say vulnerable. And we've traded it well before when the debacle was happening. SE, I love this company. I absolutely love it. No, I don't. I hate it. That's the last time I will trade it. So the business is fine, and the stock cannot find a bottom. It cannot string 2 green days in a row. I'm sold a put at 55 for us, and I hate it. I absolutely freaking hate it. I just hope that enough time passes so I can close it for a small loss and walk away from it. Right now, I would rather be assigned shares and sell the shares immediately. I think I can get out of it better. If I'm nervous about the 55 level, I can roll it down and out, which I'm delaying it because it is an August trade. And if I roll it now, I feel like I'm giving up too early. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to this stock. The company on paper looks good, but I have a risk and I regret doing it, and now it's too red to close. So it does have support, immediate support from here, but it also has support from back here. So I feel like I could roll it down and out when the you know what hits the fan. If you're uncomfortable with it, you should close it or buy some puts to protect you. Okay, Shoals. You could bounce. The bounces will be met with sellers at 25, 25 and a half versus the buyers at 23. If you lose 23, I think you can get to 21.50. Shopify, I need a bigger dip than this one to go long, but it is a good company. It is above a neckline that just broke out from, and this is a retest of the neckline. So if somebody went long down here or thinking about going long, you're not crazy. You just have to know that there's resistance above, and it will need the markets to rally as well. This is a company that can go to 70 in the next 6 months. So 3 months. If earnings are coming, I want to caution you. The CEO cannot stop flapping his lips around earnings. So I've seen him pre-announce one time out of the blue, and one time the night before, he went on CNBC to Jim Cramer and said something caused the stock to fall 16%. We luckily bought the dip. But what's with that? You're going into an earnings report. Why don't you shut your mouth until you go into the earnings and deliver the report for everybody else without a surprise? This way, those who are long the stocks, they can protect themselves, and those who do not want to trade the earnings can disengage with the stock. Instead, they feel this need to come out weeks ahead, or some, in this case, one day ahead, and just say something out of order. Like, what? What's the point? You do have support and scouted support below it. So for me, if it comes down anywhere into 58 or lower, I'm totally interested. Silver, I closed my longs, played out well. I don't know if it's going to hold here, but it has a chance to come back to 21, 21.2. Okay? Gold is not looking as well from the chart that we saw. So if silver loses 20.4, it probably goes to 19.8. Okay, now having lost this, they could drift down to 19.2. I need silver SLV to be above 21, better 22, 21 and a half. Sorry, 21.2. That's what I'm saying. That level right there. I need them to beat this. Then they bury that one back behind them. Right now, it looks like they tried to hold the support and they couldn't, and now they're trying to recover it and they couldn't, and if they bleed down and they lose this one Tuesday, they end up down here. SMH, my concern about NVIDIA and AMD tells me that I do not want to be long the SMH here. It could do well. It has supports at 144. I think I would be involved at 134. Whoa, Nick, that's not going to happen. Never going to happen. Okay. Wake me up when we get there. I guarantee you it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Whether this month, next month, 6 months from now, I don't know. I do not want to get engaged with it. I want easy trades. This is not an easy long. It's definitely not an easy short, but it's an easier short than a long via credit call spread. Snow. We traded it well, I believe, on this dip. Up here, I just don't have an edge. It's stuck in the middle of the road. Super good support into 167, 168, and very tough resistance. So if you can tell me they can get it to 196, I tell you they can go to 212, 218. Buy the dip. The closer to 164, the better. And the closer to 148, the best. So I'll put an alert. I don't know when we'll get there, if we'll get there. So SoFi, I have not re-engaged. You know me, I got us long under 5 or around 5. I can't remember. Anyway, it went to the moon. I got off way too early in the 7s. Don't regret doing that. This was uncalled for. So now we're not even given half. I think if they don't get back above 9, they will end up at 7. So I would say 7 before 950. I don't know if that helps. This will be an investment for the long term. That was why I said, I'm pretty sure I said buy shares as opposed to buying calls. I ended up buying calls because I didn't buy shares day one and the stock fell. So I felt obliged to buy calls the next day. And I did, and everything went crazy in a good way. Team starting to get interesting. I think it can get to 154. It will be an entry opportunity. So I'm looking to get long. If somebody's long, I don't think they need to panic out if they have time on the clock. Starting to get interesting here. Buy the dip. I'm sniping it. I put alerts. Teva. I think we discussed it for some people. It's not for me, but I said, I guess you can buy the dip. There's no support for eons. So now it's approaching 8, and 8 was a huge problem area. So I guess the easy work is done. Maybe wait for dips, or if you buy it here, make sure you put stops as to how much pain you're willing to take before you call it quits again. Now, you should respect the fact that every rally has been sold and made a lower low. Look, rally, sold, lower low. Rally, they held the low, rally, they held it, rally, kind of went, rally, kind of went, and then whoosh. So they're selling rallies. Lower highs, and there was a breakdown at 8.2. Target, I don't want to be involved with Target. It's a good company. I usually would be. I would be in a credit put spread or sold puts to own shares. But again, it has a social problem. The company is trying to be a social activist, and I don't think anybody can pull it off except Nike. So I said if Target stays below 156, it's likely to go to 142. That was way back up here. That was correct. So now I can repeat this at 139. I think there are sellers at 139. That's your opportunity. If you can get above 139, technically you're out of the woods. Until then, you're right in the middle of a trigger and a trigger. So if you lose 125, you will be at 116. Then I will get engaged with it. If you take that out, then you're climbing with higher lows. Tesla, not a long up here. Okay. Let me see here. I had lines on it that worked out pretty well, if I remember correctly. Yep. So 1 and 2 played out perfectly. Too much, then fell to here. So 1 and 2 got us to here. And then we bounced. But from here, I said, even if we bounce, when we did 1 and 2, we might curl back down. And we bounced, and we're curling back down. So now they're going back into the orange support zone. I said short-term longs inside its orange support zone. If somebody took them, they made money. And now we're, again, close to them. So traders can go long with stops. Investors, I think, can sit it out. There's no urgent need to be long right now. So trading, yes. Investing, I wouldn't add if I'm long. If I'm looking to get long as an investment, I would rather sell a put. If I'm looking to get long, I shouldn't go all in. Twilio, let's zoom back out. I no longer have a trade on it. It played out too well. So if Twilio loses 63, it might end up at 58. And if it loses 58, it might end up at 52. So I'm looking to see what happens inside this rectangle. Okay. This one. If they break out from this rectangle, they're going to go to, I don't know, 80. Or this would be a buy the dip opportunity, maybe. Okay. Uber, definitely not an entry point. That is obvious on the chart. Oh, most definitely not. Look at 45. Okay, look what happened here at 45. Look what happened here and here. And this whole battle, these are weeks. And here, they couldn't recover it. And now they're going back into it. It's shortable. If you force me to trade Uber, I would sell a call in it or a call spread. Wow, this is a pretty powerful line, 45. Deserves to be orange and massive. Holy moly. Yeah, and it's a zone. It's not just one line. Here's one line, and here's another. This zone is tough. If you want to put a third one, you can put it here. Definitely not a place to start longs in there. Buy the dip into 37 or 35. US Bank Corp. Okay. Hold 31.6 or you'll end up in the 30.6. So hold support or drift lower towards 31 or less. Rallies into 32.60 will be met with sellers. Visa, definitely not an obvious entry point. Too soon. Yeah, too soon. I will not repeat that joke. So breaking out of 231 will get you to 235. Breaking out of 235 will get you to 240. But buy the dip. I think it would be a better trade. In fact, so if somebody wants to do anything, they can do a credit call spread. And an iron condor. Maybe. If somebody wants to be active, they can do an iron condor in Visa. Vicker. They're falling into a prior area where they fought for something. So I'm going to say 49 is pretty good support. 51 is decent turnaround spot. So if it gets to 51, I would consider a long. If somebody got long here, you might have a chance to get to 56, 57. These are trading comments. I don't know much about the company. Let me see if I can Modular power components, power systems, like power for what? Analog power. Good P&L. So yeah, good business. VIX. I'm not sure why you're asking me. I don't trade the VIX. I have a very simple method on the VIX, and I've shared it every day in every write-up I've shared with you for months. I don't trade the VIX, but we're due for a headline. The VIX is too low for all the problems we have in the world. If they tell us all these problems are happening, why the hell is the VIX at 3.8? Like we have a QE going on. I shared the opportunity to buy VIX calls to protect your assets for weeks. So I don't know what I need to tell you about the stock price. It's a headline emotional price. It can be at 12 for years. I remember it was stuck for years. Here's a whole year where it had only a few spikes, but it spent a lot of time down here. So yeah, I don't trade the VIX. I use it to protect myself. But if you want to hold calls to trade it, try. Not for me. Remember, the options expire on Wednesday, and what you see is not what you get. The value is not an actual value. Okay. Verizon. If you didn't book your profits from the entry I shared, you're at risk of coming back down to 35. But the thing is, it was to own shares in a dividend payer, and it pays 7%. I don't have shares in them anymore because I have B2. I'm getting enough dividend from B2, so I don't need them. But I would own shares, not sell puts or buy calls. Wendy's. Yeah, not for me. They just lost a Head and Shoulders that has a teenager target. This Head and Shoulders says the target is just below that. Whether they get there or not, I don't know. They do have support scattered. I would imagine 2120 is an opportunity to bottom. If it doesn't, I think it'll go to that low. But more importantly, the rallies towards 22 will be met with sellers. Wolf Speed. Yeah, I tried trading that one twice and I hated it. So careful playing options with it. It rallied from here to here. It stuttered somewhere in the middle and it's back into that middle. I would imagine that's support. I don't know why this stock would lose 47, but if it does, it may come down to 45, which would be a better entry point. It's in the side of a good support zone. Now, if I got long here and I didn't get out, I'm not getting out here. If I got long here and I wanted to add, maybe I would, maybe I won't. If I'm starting a new position, I would add half of a position. I wouldn't go all in. XLU, it's falling into support. This moves with rates inversely, I think, because the XLU have the reputation that they pay dividends, so they become they fall. The stocks that are in the XLU usually, I haven't traded in a while, fall when rates rise. So rallies into 66.50 are going to be met with sellers. If they take out 68, they can get back up to here. So now the battle is, you're right in the middle, just about, between super good support, super strong resistance. I can tell you one thing, if they lose 64, even though they have 63.5 support, I think they will end up at 61 in a series of descending channels. So rally, sold, drop, rally, sold, drop. Not a forecast, I'm saying if. Exxon, just like Chevron, bounce or else. Technically, they can bounce towards 106, but if they lose this one, I think they will challenge losing that one. Okay, it's a decent starting point from a trade perspective. If you're going to invest in it, I would not load up. If you're adding to your investment, I wouldn't. I would just be in it for the trade. Okay, so I just went long the stock. Let's see if it pays me. This is the second time I traded for us. I sold puts, bought calls the first time. Closed that for a super good win. I did not, of course, I closed early the calls, but it was a big win anyway. I re-engaged by selling more puts. Let's see if that works out. I would take the shares. I would not defend it. So I would take the assignment on the shares. I don't even remember what level I sold. Hmm. I'm drawing a blank. Usually it's on the chart. It's not here. That's weird. Nope, not here. Interesting. So why did I go long? Because it came to a target I had, and it came into some support zones. Like I have peaks here and valleys here, so I figured it's inside of a support. Oh, and that's it. Sweet. So I will have a strategy video by tomorrow morning. I think I want to do it in the morning, so that I don't have a write-up in the morning and a video at night and a video, 2 videos on Sundays. It's a lot for you guys to read. So I'll toy you with that and see how much blowback I get from that. Thank you for being here, all 50 of you. I appreciate it. And at home, thanks for watching. I'll stop that recording.